Welcome back to the John Mendola Show here on WILK, continuing the conversation as we do each and every Saturday between 10 and 11 local sports. It is high school and college athletics, and once in a while we get that big shot, and maybe John Gulden will be a big shot one day. John, welcome in from Marywood University. How are you?
Good. Thank you for having me.
Well, this is a big deal. Everybody wants to know a little bit more about rugby, and you're going to be the guy there at Marywood University. You've got a year to get things going here. So what are you excited about bringing that sport to Marywood University?
I think I'm most excited because it's just great for the sport to have a university like Marywood to take it on as a varsity sport, both for the men's and women's team. You don't see that a lot, especially in this area. You know, it's an emerging sport. It's actually the fastest growing sport in the country right now. And you see some schools where I came from, Westchester University, where we had a varsity women's team, but, you know, it's pretty unique what Marywood is doing. You know, there's a couple other universities like Queens College of Charlotte down in North Carolina. They're in the same boat we are, starting from scratch with a brand new varsity program. They're about a year ahead of us. They're in their first year of competition, but, you know, I'm just excited to get on the road and get recruiting and get a bunch of athletes and seeing what we can do here at Marywood.
So many questions. Who are you going to play, and, you know, where are you going to start? And so let's start first with as far as the recruiting part. What kind of athletes are you recruiting first for the men's side?
Well, actually, I'm going to start with rugby players because it is pretty prevalent in certain areas, not essentially the Northeast PA or Central PA, but, you know, in Philadelphia, New Jersey, New York and Connecticut, and even down in Maryland, there's a lot of high school rugby. Most of it is club. There are some schools that have the varsity sport, but outside of rugby players, you know, you have your football players because, you know, they like to hit. So, you know, that's a big part of rugby. So that's what I'll be looking for is football players, wrestlers, anybody that's just an overall athlete. Even at, you know, like I said, when I was at Westchester, we were a Division I program, and we took players that were non-rugby players and taught them how to play rugby, and some of them turn out to be the best players on your team. And you see crossover athletes like that even at the highest of levels, even in like the international level. We have on our national sevens team a man named Perry Baker. He wasn't a rugby player, and now he's probably considered one of the best in the world.
As far as seasons-wise, so I would gather, is the women's going to be in the fall and the men's in the spring, or vice versa?
No, actually, we're going to be competing at the same time. So rugby, we play there's two styles of rugby. So there's 15s, which is 15 on 15, and then there's sevens, which is 7 on 7. It's a faster-paced game. You probably saw that in the Olympics, the past Olympics, and it'll be in the Olympics the next couple years. And the 15s will be played in the fall, and then 7s will be played in the spring.
All right, that sounds like a whole lot of fun. And as far as getting student athletes to compete in rugby, what kind of roster size are you thinking you're going to need to have?
Well, typically you want to have at least 30 kids, so you have backups for every position, but anywhere from 30 to 40 for each side. So, you know, a total of 80 athletes is probably my goal, not for next year, but, you know, to have for our first year, I'd like to have at least 20. That is, I think, the minimum they want you to have to compete, so then you can have substitutes and backup players and different things like that.
As far as getting the word out to people here in northeastern Pennsylvania to promote the sport and learn a little bit more about it, how about some similarities people may understand, whether it's with football or Australian rules football or whatever they're thinking?
Yeah, it's similar to football because obviously you hit and it's a very physical sport. But, you know, the way I like to explain it is kind of you have the physicality of football but the endurance of soccer. It's a 80-minute match. You know, you have two halves, and that's it. You know, there's not a lot of stoppage. It is a fast-paced game, and you know, the clock doesn't really stop for very much. And yeah.
So a lot of fun and a lot of endurance will be involved with the sport of rugby. Usually you see guys like with their heads taped up a little bit, or there's some injuries out there. Am I correct? I mean, you got to be pretty darn tough to play rugby.
Yeah, there's a lot of injuries, but the great thing about rugby is a lot of the rules and regulations, they gear them towards safety. Tackling is a big, and the contact area is a big safety issue. It's not like football where you can just kind of throw your shoulder into a guy and take him out however you'd like. You have to hit him below the shoulders. You have to wrap him. And even the way we teach the rugby style tackle is different than you teach in football. I know even some football coaches at the college and even at the NFL level, Pete Carroll started teaching his players how to use the rugby style tackle as a safer and a more effective tackle.
John, your background with rugby, you mentioned Westchester University, but take us back to the area of Pennsylvania you're from and how you kind of got started with the sport.
Yeah, I'm originally from Lewisburg, Pennsylvania in central PA. Then I attended Lock Haven University and was actually trying to play baseball there and didn't make the team, but somebody asked me one day, hey, do you want to play rugby? And I said, yeah. So I went and watched a few games and started playing, and I just fell in love with the sport, and they needed some help after I graduated coaching-wise, and so I helped out there for a few years with the women's team and the men's team, and I always knew I wanted to coach. I was always passionate about sports, and I actually went to school for sports management, and I had an opportunity to go to Westchester and further my education and also coach at the same time, and then this opportunity popped up, and I jumped at it and was lucky enough to be the one selected for the position, and that's where I am today.
Well, it sounds like you got your work cut out for you, but all good stuff. And you'll be on the road tomorrow already getting some flyers and meeting some people about rugby in New Jersey, correct?
Yes, I'll be in Denville, New Jersey. There's a sevens tournament there. New Jersey and Pennsylvania both host sevens tournaments. We call them a sevens series. So every weekend there'll be a tournament on Sundays in Jersey and Pennsylvania this fall until I believe the end of October, and I'll be on the road every Sunday. Either the next two I'll be in Jersey, then Pennsylvania, then I think I'm back in Jersey for a weekend, and then back in Pennsylvania for a couple more. So yeah, I'll be on the road pretty much from here until the end of November, out recruiting at tournaments, camps, any kind of rugby event or athletic event in the area.
People who are young in our area, maybe they're, say, 7th, 8th, 9th, 10th grade right now, and they're saying, hey, that sounds interesting. I'd like to try rugby. Are those some of the opportunities you're talking about? Is there a website or somewhere they could look up to where maybe they could get involved at a younger age?
Yeah, absolutely. There's they can go to usarugby.org. On there, they have a link where you can go find a club team or a high school team in your area to start competing at that young of age. Down the road, our goal is to start a youth program around here to try to, maybe be a feeder program to Marywood or some of the other universities that may start a program like this.
John, it's a pleasure to see you and meet you today. We wish you the best, and congratulations. This is new to Northeastern Pennsylvania rugby at the college level. Marywood University, we wish you the very best, John.
Yeah, thank you very much.
All right, John Gulden from the Marywood University Pacers says rugby is coming, and John will be there to recruit the athletes, and they'll be ready to go next fall. So we'll talk North Pocono girls tennis. That's coming up your way here on the John Mendola Show. You can pick up a copy of our football magazine. You can grab one right now at Mendocino's Italian Specialties. That's located at Sanderson Avenue in Scranton. Vincenzo's Pizza there on West Side. Rinaldi Auto Sales, Alexi Pharmacy in Taylor. Manuka Subaru, It's All We Do. Arcaro and Janelle, located in the pizza capital of the world, Old Forge. Across the street there, Ravello's Pizza in Old Forge as well. So there's some locations you could grab a copy of our football magazine. Also want to thank our friends at Valley Garment Care in Plains, and also Sheehan's Pharmacy in Plains as well. We come back on the show. We're going to talk North Pocono girls tennis having some success this season. Let's head out now to our local State Farm insurance agent, Jen Ricky Loophole. Break like a good neighbor. Jen Ricky Loophole is there. We'll be back at WILK.